What would you do if the man claiming to be a cryptocurrency billionaire refused to video chat with you? Not once, but 37 times? My name is Diana. I'm 56 years old. And for 5 months, I believed I was building a future with Marcus Chen, a self-made crypto investor who'd turned $10,000 into $47 million and wanted to teach me his secret strategy. He promised to help me retire early, travel the world, and achieve financial freedom I'd never imagined. I was ready to invest my entire $120,000 retirement savings into his exclusive trading platform. I'd already deposited $38,000. But when I finally insisted on a video call, just one clear 5-minute conversation, everything unraveled in ways I never expected. This is the story of how one simple question exposed not just a romance scam, but a massive pig butchering operation that had stolen over $89 million from victims across North America, and how my refusal to send another dollar without seeing his face led to the FBI's largest crypto romance fraud bust in history. Thank you for being here. I believe this story will help you or someone you love recognize crypto romance scams and the red flags we all need to know. So this is the perfect moment. Hit that like button and subscribe. You guarantee all the next stories without having to search for them. Now, let's begin. I met Marcus Chen on Instagram in February 2024, 6 months after my divorce from my husband of 28 years. The divorce wasn't dramatic, just the slow realization that we'd become strangers living in the same house. Robert got the house in Seattle. I got my retirement savings and a fresh start in a downtown apartment overlooking Elliott Bay. At 56, I was starting over. My daughters were adults with their own lives. My career as a corporate accountant had become routine and unfulfilling. I'd spent decades managing other people's money, building their wealth, optimizing their portfolios. Now I wanted to build something for myself. Marcus's Instagram profile appeared in my suggested follows. The algorithm apparently thought I'd be interested in his content about financial independence and cryptocurrency investing. His profile showed a confident Asian man in his early 40s, always photographed in luxury settings, private jets, 5-star restaurants, exotic locations. His bio read, self-made crypto investor, turned $10K into $47 million in 3 years, teaching others financial freedom, DM for mentorship. I didn't normally follow financial influencers, but something about his approach intrigued me. His posts weren't flashy, get-rich-quick schemes. They were thoughtful analyses of market trends, explanations of blockchain technology, case studies of successful investment strategies. He posted screenshots of trading platforms showing massive profits, always with captions about patience, research, and disciplined risk management. After following him for 2 weeks, I commented on a post about retirement planning for women over 50. He responded within minutes. Diana, your comment shows real financial sophistication. Most people your age are terrified of crypto, but you understand it's just another asset class requiring proper analysis. Would love to discuss your investment goals. Mind if I DM you? His direct message was professional and respectful. He asked about my background, my financial goals, my risk tolerance. When I mentioned I was a corporate accountant, he seemed impressed. Finally, someone who understands numbers. Most people I talk to think crypto is magic internet money. You'll actually comprehend the underlying mechanics. We messaged daily for 3 weeks before he suggested moving to WhatsApp. Instagram's messaging is unreliable, he explained. Plus, I share more detailed market analysis with my mentorship clients on WhatsApp. If you're serious about building wealth, we should connect there. His WhatsApp messages were detailed and educational. He'd send market analysis reports, charts showing price movements, articles about emerging cryptocurrency projects. He never pushed me to invest immediately. Instead, he taught me about blockchain technology, decentralized finance, liquidity pools, yield farming, all the concepts I'd heard about but never truly understood. Diana, you have a huge advantage, he told me during one of our early phone calls. His voice was confident, with a slight accent I couldn't place. Possibly Chinese, maybe Singapore English. You understand financial statements, risk analysis, portfolio diversification. You just need to apply those skills to crypto markets. Most people invest emotionally. You can invest analytically. He shared his own story. Born in Shanghai, moved to Singapore at 18, worked in traditional finance before discovering cryptocurrency in 2017. I bought Bitcoin when everyone said it was a scam. Ethereum when people called it vaporware. I did the research, understood the technology, took calculated risks. By 2021, I'd made my first million. By 2023, I'd exceeded $40 million. Why help other people instead of just enjoying your wealth? I asked. Because money without purpose is meaningless. I grew up poor, Diana. I remember my parents working 16-hour days and still struggling. I want to help people, especially people like you who've worked hard all their lives but never had access to wealth-building opportunities. Achieve financial freedom. That's what drives me. It was exactly what I wanted to hear. After decades of building wealth for corporations and executives, someone was offering to help me build my own. By April, Marcus was suggesting I start investing. You've learned the fundamentals. Now you need practical experience. I recommend starting with $5,000. Enough to see real returns, but small enough that you're comfortable with the risk. He walked me through creating an account on a cryptocurrency exchange called Crypto Elite Pro. The website looked professional. Sleek design, detailed charts, live price feeds, customer testimonials. He provided step-by-step instructions: create account, verify identity, transfer funds from my bank, convert to cryptocurrency, deposit into my Crypto Elite Pro trading wallet. I'll guide you through your first trades, Marcus said. I'm not going to manage your money. That would be inappropriate. But I'll teach you my strategy and you'll make your own decisions. That's true financial education. I transferred $5,000 and followed his guidance. Within 3 days, my account showed $6,200, a 24% return. I was stunned. Marcus explained it casually. That was a simple arbitrage opportunity I spotted. The same token was trading at different prices on different exchanges. We exploited the gap. Not always available, but when it is, the returns are exceptional. He encouraged me to withdraw $1,000 to prove the system worked. The money appeared in my bank account within hours. This wasn't theoretical. This was real profit I could access whenever I wanted. Over the next month, following Marcus's guidance, my $5,000 investment grew to $11,500. Each trade was accompanied by detailed explanations. He taught me about liquidity pools, staking rewards, automated market makers. He never pressured me to invest more. He just kept teaching, kept sharing opportunities, kept helping me succeed. By May, I was completely convinced. Marcus wasn't just some internet scammer. He was a legitimate investor sharing his expertise. The profits were real. The education was valuable. The relationship felt like genuine mentorship. Diana, you're ready for the next level, Marcus said during a call in late May. There's an exclusive opportunity available only to my private clients. A pre-launch token offering from a major decentralized finance protocol. Minimum investment is $30,000, but projected returns are 300 to 500% within 6 months. I'm investing $2 million personally. Would you be interested? I didn't hesitate. I'd already seen consistent returns. I trusted Marcus completely. I transferred $30,000. That's when everything started changing. And that's when I should have asked the one question that would have saved me from losing everything. Why wouldn't he video chat with me? After I transferred the $30,000 for the exclusive pre-launch token, Marcus's communication patterns shifted subtly. Our daily messages continued, but they became more focused on my emotional state than on education. How are you feeling about the investment? Are you excited about the potential returns? Imagine what your life will look like when this pays off. The trading platform showed my investment growing. $30,000 became $34,000, then $39,000, then $45,000 within 2 weeks. The numbers climbed steadily, accompanied by Marcus's enthusiastic messages. See? I told you this opportunity was exceptional. You're going to hit 6 figures soon. But when I tried to withdraw some profits to secure my gains, the platform blocked the transaction. A message appeared. Withdrawal temporarily suspended due to network congestion. Please try again in 24-48 hours. I messaged Marcus, concerned. He responded immediately, reassuring. Completely normal. These decentralized protocols sometimes experience high traffic. Your funds are safe. They're locked in smart contracts on the blockchain. Nobody can access them except you. Just be patient. I waited 48 hours. Still blocked. Marcus explained. The token is in pre-launch lockup phase. That's standard for exclusive offerings. Full liquidity activates after the public launch in 6 weeks. Then you'll be able to withdraw freely. In the meantime, your investment continues growing. Something felt off, but Marcus's explanations always sounded plausible. He used technical terminology I'd learned from him. Smart contracts, liquidity lockups, token vesting schedules. He sent me links to articles explaining these concepts. Everything checked out theoretically. Then Marcus introduced a new opportunity. Diana, there's a limited-time bonus program. If you add another $20,000 to your account before June 15th, the platform will match it with a 50% bonus. That's free money, $10,000 just for being an early investor. Plus, it increases your position size, which means proportionally higher returns when liquidity activates. I hesitated. I'd already invested $35,000. My initial $5,000 plus the $30,000. That was more than a quarter of my retirement savings. Marcus, I'm not comfortable investing more until I can withdraw what I've already made. His response was gentle but insistent. I understand your caution. That's smart risk management. But think strategically. You've already seen how this works. The 50% bonus alone is more than most traditional investments return in a year. And you'll have access to everything. Original investment, profits, bonus, once liquidity activates. This is a time-limited opportunity to maximize your position. He sent me screenshots of other clients who'd participated in the bonus program, showing massive account balances. These people trusted the process. Now they're set for life. I wanted to trust the process. I wanted to believe I'd stumbled onto a legitimate opportunity that would transform my financial future. But a small voice in my head kept asking, why haven't we ever video called? We'd been communicating for 3 months. Dozens of phone calls, hundreds of messages, detailed financial discussions. But never once had I seen Marcus's face on a live video call. The photos on his Instagram were static images. Our phone calls were always audio only. I'd never thought to question it before. Phone calls felt personal enough. But now, being asked to invest another $20,000, I suddenly wanted that additional layer of verification. Marcus, before I transfer more money, I'd really like to video chat with you. Just so I can put a face to the voice, I think it would make me more comfortable. His response came after a longer pause than usual. Diana, I'd love to, but I'm currently traveling in Southeast Asia working on new investment opportunities. The internet here is incredibly unreliable. Video calls are nearly impossible. I can barely maintain audio quality. How about this? I'll be back in Singapore next week. We can set up a proper video call then. In the meantime, don't miss the bonus deadline on June 15th. That's only 4 days away. It was a reasonable excuse, but something about it bothered me. Singapore was one of the world's most connected cities. Surely someone with $47 million could access decent internet? I pushed back gently. Can't you find a hotel or cafe with better Wi-Fi? Even a quick 5-minute call would help me feel more confident. Diana, I hear your concern, but honestly, I'm a bit hurt. After 3 months of mentorship, after helping you grow your initial $5,000 into substantial profits, after sharing exclusive opportunities, you still don't trust me? Trust is fundamental to this relationship. If you need a video call to believe in me, maybe we're not a good fit. It was emotional manipulation. I recognized it intellectually, but it still worked emotionally. I felt guilty for doubting him. He'd helped me make money. He'd been patient and educational. Was I being paranoid? I compromised. I trust you, Marcus, but I'd still feel better with a video call. Let's do it next week when you're back in Singapore. And I'll think about the bonus program. He accepted that, but his messages over the next few days subtly increased pressure. He'd send screenshots of my account balance growing. "You're up to $52,000 now. Imagine if you'd participated in the bonus program. You'd be over $75,000. He'd share stories of other clients hitting six-figure profits. They trusted the process. On June 14th, the day before the bonus deadline, Marcus called. "Diana, I need to be honest with you. The bonus program closes tomorrow. After that, this opportunity is gone. I can't get you back in. You'll watch from the sidelines while other investors multiply their wealth. Is that really what you want?" "I want the video call we discussed." Long silence. Then, my flight back to Singapore was delayed. Tropical storm grounded everything. I'm stuck in Manila for another 3 days. But Diana, we're talking about $10,000 in free money. Don't let weather patterns cost you a life-changing opportunity. My internal alarm was screaming now. Every excuse had another excuse. Every delay had a crisis. But the numbers on my trading platform still showed $52,000. That was real, wasn't it? So I decided to check his background online. I opened my laptop and started with the most basic search I should have done months ago. Marcus Chen, crypto investor, Singapore. What I found would reveal that every dollar I'd sent was already gone. And Marcus Chen, whoever he really was, had been running a sophisticated con that went far beyond anything I'd imagined. The question was, how much more would I lose before I finally stopped believing? The Google search for Marcus Chen, crypto investor, Singapore, returned 0 relevant results. No news articles about his supposed 47 million success. No interviews, no conference appearances, no mentions in cryptocurrency industry publications. For someone claiming to be a prominent investor and mentor, Marcus Chen had no digital footprint outside of Instagram and WhatsApp. I tried reverse image search on his Instagram photos. Every single image was stolen. The man in the luxury car photos was a Malaysian fashion model. The private jet shots came from a travel blogger's portfolio. The restaurant photos belonged to a Singapore food influencer. Marcus Chen's entire visual identity was constructed from other people's lives. My hands shook as I typed a new search. Crypto Elite Pro Cryptocurrency Exchange. The first result was a scam warning from the SEC. Crypto Elite Pro is not a registered cryptocurrency exchange. It is a fraudulent website designed to mimic legitimate trading platforms. Victims report depositing funds that disappear once they attempt withdrawal. If you've sent money to Crypto Elite Pro, report it to the FBI Internet Crime Complaint Center immediately. The website had seemed so professional. Live price feeds, detailed charts, official-looking terms of service. But it was all theater. A fake storefront designed to make theft look like investment. I tried logging into my Crypto Elite Pro account to check if my $35,000 was still there. The website was gone. The URL returned a 404 error. My account, my balance showing $52,000, the entire trading platform, all had vanished overnight. I felt physically ill. $35,000. More than a quarter of my retirement savings. Gone. Not lost in a bad investment. Not stolen by a hacker. Voluntarily sent by me to criminals I'd trusted completely. I called Marcus immediately. Disconnected number. I messaged him on WhatsApp. Undelivered. He'd blocked me. I checked his Instagram profile. Deleted. Marcus Chen, the crypto billionaire mentor who'd helped me see such promising returns, had never existed. And I'd sent him $35,000 without ever once seeing his face on video. I sat in my apartment, staring at the Elliott Bay views I'd been so excited about 6 months ago, feeling like the stupidest person alive. I was a corporate accountant with decades of financial experience, and I'd fallen for an obvious scam. How had I been so blind? The answer, I realized, was that I'd wanted to believe. After a difficult divorce, after decades of building wealth for others while barely maintaining my own financial security, Marcus had offered something intoxicating. The promise that I could achieve the success I'd helped others build. He'd made me feel smart, capable, special, and I'd let that feeling override every warning sign. I spent the next 12 hours researching pig butchering scams, the term for the type of fraud I'd experienced. The name came from the Chinese phrase meaning fattening the pig before slaughter. Scammers build long-term relationships, establish trust, show small profits to create confidence, then convince victims to make increasingly large investments before disappearing with everything. The FBI estimated Americans lost over $2.5 billion to pig butchering scams in 2023. Victims were typically educated, financially literate people who thought they were too smart to be scammed. People exactly like me. I found victim support forums where hundreds of people shared similar stories. Same patterns, same fake trading platforms, same excuses for never video calling, same promises of exclusive opportunities. Total losses ranged from $10,000 to over $1 million. Many victims had lost their entire life savings. One post particularly struck me, from a woman named Susan in California. I sent $127,000 to someone I thought was a cryptocurrency expert teaching me to invest. We talked for 7 months. He knew everything about my life, my kids, my late husband, my dreams. I never saw his face. I never questioned why. When I finally insisted on video chat, he said his camera was broken. Then his internet was bad. Then he was traveling somewhere remote. I made every excuse for him because I wanted to believe the relationship was real. By the time I accepted the truth, I'd lost everything. Please, if someone refuses to video chat, especially about money, that's the red flag. Run. Reading Susan's story, I saw myself. Every excuse Marcus had made, every delay tactic, every emotional manipulation, it was all from the same playbook. And I'd fallen for every single one, because video chatting had seemed like such a small thing compared to the potential rewards. But that small thing was the difference between a real person and a fabricated identity. A live video call was the one verification method scammers couldn't fake easily. Photos could be stolen, voices could be disguised or scripted, documents could be forged. But a real-time video conversation where I could ask unexpected questions and see spontaneous reactions? That would have exposed Marcus immediately. I'd given him 37 opportunities to video chat over 3 months. He'd refused every single one with plausible-sounding excuses. And I'd accepted each excuse because confronting the truth would have meant admitting I'd made a catastrophic mistake. On the victim support forum, I found a pinned post titled, "What to Do If You've Been Scammed." The first instruction, report it immediately to local police, the FBI Internet Crime Complaint Center, and your bank. Speed matters. The faster you report, the small chance authorities can freeze accounts and recover funds before they're moved through cryptocurrency tumblers and offshore exchanges. I filed police reports with Seattle PD and the FBI. The FBI agent who called me back was sympathetic, but realistic. "Ms. Diana, I'm sorry this happened. Unfortunately, cryptocurrency scams are extremely difficult to investigate because the funds move through multiple jurisdictions and are quickly converted to untraceable assets. Recovery is unlikely. But your report helps us build cases against these networks." "You mean Marcus might actually get caught?" "Marcus is probably not one person. These operations typically involve teams working from overseas, often China, Malaysia, or Southeast Asia. Multiple people play different roles. The romantic interest, the investment mentor, customer service for the fake platform, even supposed regulators demanding fees. You were likely communicating with several people who maintained the Marcus persona. That somehow made it worse. Not one person who'd deceived me, but an entire organized fraud team for whom I was just another mark, another data point in their profit spreadsheet. The FBI agent continued, "What would actually help us is if you'd be willing to participate in a public awareness campaign. We're trying to combat these scams through education. Victims who go public help prevent others from making the same mistakes." The thought of publicly admitting my stupidity was mortifying. But I thought about Susan in California who'd lost $127,000, about the hundreds of people on the victim forums, about whoever Marcus's team was targeting right now. "I'll do it," I said. That decision would lead me into an investigation that revealed the pig butchering industry was far more sophisticated and far more dangerous than I'd imagined. And it would force me to confront something I hadn't anticipated. What if some victims didn't want to be saved? What was I about to discover that would challenge everything I thought I knew about these scams? Thank you for staying with this story. If it's helping you recognize manipulation tactics, hit that like button and subscribe. You'll need to hear what happens next. Now back to the story. The FBI connected me with Agent Jennifer Park, who specialized in transnational cryptocurrency fraud. Our first video call, ironically, the video call I'd never gotten from Marcus, revealed the scope of what I'd stumbled into. Diana, the operation that targeted you is part of what we call a pig butchering compound, Agent Park explained. These are literal buildings in Southeast Asia, Cambodia, Myanmar, Laos, where trafficked workers are forced to operate romance and investment scams. The people you were talking to weren't just criminals choosing this work. Many of them are victims themselves. The revelation was staggering. You're saying Marcus was a victim? The person or people playing Marcus were likely forced laborers, possibly Chinese nationals who were lured to Cambodia with promises of legitimate jobs, then trapped in compounds run by organized crime syndicates. They're given quotas. They have to extract a certain amount from victims each month or face physical punishment. Some are beaten, starved, or sold to other criminal networks. It's human trafficking combined with fraud. I didn't know how to process that information. I'd been victimized, yes. But the person who'd victimized me might also be a victim? Where did that leave moral clarity? Agent Park continued. The FBI is working with international partners to raid these compounds and free the workers. But it's complicated. Many of these facilities are in regions with limited law enforcement cooperation, or where local officials are paid to look the other way. Your case specifically caught our attention because the fake trading platform you used, Crypto Elite Pro, has been linked to at least 47 other victims across North America. Total losses exceed $8 million. We think it's run by a specific compound operation in Cambodia. She showed me seized intelligence photos, blurry images of crowded rooms filled with computer workstations, young people hunched over screens, armed guards in the background. This wasn't some hacker in a basement. This was industrialized fraud. What can I do to help? I asked. First, we need detailed records of every interaction with Marcus. Screenshots, phone records, transaction details, everything. Second, we want to use your case as part of a coordinated public awareness campaign. We're partnering with cybersecurity organizations and victim advocacy groups to educate people about pig butchering. Your willingness to share your story could prevent dozens of future victims. I agreed immediately. But Agent Park warned me. You need to prepare for public reaction. When victims go public, they often face judgment, mockery, victim blaming. People will say you were stupid, greedy, desperate. It's not fair, but it's reality. She was right. When the first article about my case appeared in a Seattle tech publication, local accountant loses $35,000 to cryptocurrency romance scam. The online comments were brutal. How does an accountant fall for something so obvious? She wanted easy money, got what she deserved. Lonely divorcee desperate for attention. Tale as old as time. The cruelty was devastating. But mixed among the mockery were different responses. This almost happened to me. Same approach, same promises. Thank you for going public. Your story made me realize I was being scammed before I lost money. My mother is currently invested in something that sounds exactly like this. Your article gave me the language to help her understand its fraud. Those messages reminded me why public vulnerability mattered. Yes, I'd face judgment. But if even one person avoided my mistake, it was worth it. The victim support network I joined had over 300 members who'd lost money to various pig butchering schemes. We shared intelligence, identifying common scammer personas, tracking fake trading platforms, warning each other about new tactical variations. One member, James from Toronto, had lost $200,000. I was a software engineer, he explained during a group video call. I understood technology. I'd even researched blockchain protocols, but they used my intelligence against me. They made the scam technically sophisticated enough that I felt smart for understanding it. That's the genius of these operations. They don't target stupid people. They target intelligent people's blind spots. Another member, Patricia from Florida, had discovered something disturbing. I traced the cryptocurrency wallet addresses where my funds were sent. Using blockchain analysis tools, I followed the money through multiple exchanges and tumblers. Eventually, some of it landed in accounts linked to weapons trafficking and drug cartels. These aren't just fraud rings. They're diversified criminal enterprises using romance scams as one revenue stream among many. That revelation made me nauseous. My $35,000 hadn't just been stolen, it had potentially funded violence, drug distribution, human trafficking. The ripple effects of my mistake extended far beyond my personal financial loss. Agent Park confirmed Patricia's findings. The pig butchering compounds are often run by triads or other organized crime syndicates. The fraud profits fund their broader operations. When you send money to these scams, you're inadvertently financing international crime networks. The moral weight of that realization was crushing. I'd been both victim and unwitting accomplice. But then, Agent Park shared something that gave me hope. We're close to a major breakthrough. One of the forced workers in a Cambodian compound has been secretly communicating with an international rescue organization. He's provided intelligence about the operation structure, the physical location, the number of trafficked workers. We're coordinating with Cambodian authorities for a raid. If successful, we could free over 200 people and seize the operation's financial infrastructure. How can I help? We need bait. Someone the compound thinks is a viable target who can help us trace their real-time communications and confirm operational details before the raid. Diana, would you be willing to pretend you're still falling for the scam? The request was risky and psychologically brutal, but if it meant stopping the operation that had victimized me, and potentially freeing the people forced to operate it, how could I refuse? Agent Park's plan was straightforward in concept, complex in execution. We'd create a new online identity for me, different name, different photos, different background, and have me engage with scammers who were likely connected to the same Cambodian compound that had run the Marcus Chen operation. I'd follow their script, build the relationship, but document everything for the FBI while feeding them false information designed to draw out operational details. The goal is getting them to reveal the compound's physical security measures, communication protocols, and command structure, Agent Park explained. Forced workers sometimes include small signals in their conversations, code words, specific phrasing, even timing patterns that indicate distress or provide intelligence. Trained analysts can detect these, but we need active engagement to generate enough communication for pattern analysis. I created a new Instagram profile under the name Jennifer Morrison, using photos purchased from a stock photography site. The profile presented me as a recently widowed nurse from Vancouver with retirement savings to invest and dreams of world travel. According to Agent Park, I fit the ideal victim profile. Female, 50 plus, recently experienced loss, financially stable but not wealthy, emotionally vulnerable but intelligent enough to believe she was too smart to be scammed. Within 48 hours, I received a DM from an account calling itself David Zhang, crypto investment strategist. His profile showed an attractive Asian man in his 30s, always photographed in luxury settings. His bio helped 500-plus clients achieve seven-figure portfolios. Crypto education for smart investors. DM for free consultation. The approach was nearly identical to Marcus Chen's. Complement my intelligence, offer mentorship, gradually build trust through education before suggesting investment. I played along, following Agent Park's script while analysts monitored every message. David's communication patterns matched known pig butchering techniques perfectly. He'd message at consistent times, 7 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Pacific, which corresponded to work shifts in Southeast Asian time zones. His English was fluent, but occasionally had grammatical quirks suggesting non-native fluency. He'd sometimes respond instantly, sometimes disappear for hours in the middle of conversations, consistent with multiple workers sharing the same account identity. After 2 weeks of daily messaging, David suggested moving to WhatsApp and introduced cryptocurrency investing. He walked me through creating an account on a platform called Global Crypto Exchange. Agent Park's technical team immediately identified it as another fake platform, virtually identical to the Crypto Elite Pro site that had stolen my money. I followed David's instructions, but instead of sending real money, The FBI provided me with marked cryptocurrency specifically traceable through blockchain analytics. I invested $5,000. Within days, my fake account showed profits growing to $6,200. David was thrilled. Jennifer, I knew you had potential. Your analytical mind plus my strategy, we're going to make you very wealthy. The compliments, the confidence building, the small early profits, it was the exact playbook. I played my role perfectly. Enthusiastic, slightly naive, trusting, everything a pig butchering victim should be. But then David did something unexpected. During one of our WhatsApp voice calls, he said something that didn't fit the script. Jennifer, do you believe in fate? I think we were meant to connect. It was a romantic overture, transitioning from investment mentor to potential partner. The shift was calculated to deepen emotional investment, making me less likely to question requests for money. I believe in meaningful connections, I replied, following Agent Park's guidance. Why do you ask? Because talking to you feels different than my other clients, more real. I know this sounds strange since we've never met in person, but I feel like I understand you. Does that make sense? It does. I feel the same way, which is why I'd love to video chat. I want to see the face that goes with this voice I've come to care about. Silence. Then, Jennifer, I would love nothing more, but I'm dealing with a complicated situation. I'm actually traveling in Cambodia right now on business. Terrible internet, very unreliable video. Can we wait until I'm back in Hong Kong next week? Cambodia. Agent Park, monitoring the call, immediately sent me a text. Keep him talking. Ask about Cambodia. What kind of business are you doing in Cambodia? I asked casually. Another pause, longer this time. Investment opportunities, exploring new markets. Nothing too exciting. His voice had shifted, less confident, slightly nervous. He wanted off this topic. That sounds fascinating. What city are you in? Phnom Penh. Listen, Jennifer, I need to go. Meeting's starting soon. Talk tonight? He ended the call abruptly. Agent Park called me immediately. Diana, that was significant. He didn't want to discuss Cambodia, which suggests he's aware of the compound's location and nervous about revealing too much. We're going to push harder on the video call request. His resistance will help confirm the operation parameters. Over the next week, I repeatedly asked David for video chat. Each request was met with new excuses. Bad internet, broken camera, traveling somewhere remote, busy with client meetings. The excuses were identical to what I'd heard from Marcus. But there was a difference this time. Occasionally, David's messages would include strange phrasings that didn't match his usual communication style. The weather here is complicated today. I hope your evening is peaceful, unlike here. Sometimes work feels like a prison. Agent Park's analysts flagged these as possible distress signals. Forced workers sometimes embed subtle messages in their communications, she explained. Weather references, prison metaphors, peace wishes, these can indicate someone working under duress. The realization hit me. I might actually be talking to someone trapped in the compound, forced to scam people while desperately trying to signal for help. Agent Park, if David is really a forced worker, what happens to him when you raid the compound? If the raid is successful, he'll be freed and offered repatriation services. But if it fails, or if the compound operators realize he's been compromised, he could face severe punishment or be sold to another criminal operation. That's why timing and secrecy are critical. The moral complexity was overwhelming. To stop the fraud operation and free its workers, I had to keep David engaging with me, which meant pretending to fall for the scam, which meant he'd continue doing the work his captors forced on him. There was no clean solution. Then, on May 23rd, David sent a message that changed everything. Jennifer, I need to be honest with you. My camera isn't broken. I'm not in a bad internet area. I can't video chat because you wouldn't see what you expect to see. I'm not the person in the photos. I'm not the successful investor those images suggest. But the opportunity I'm offering you is still real. The trading platform works. You can make money. Does it matter what I look like if I can help you achieve your financial goals? It was the first crack in the facade, and it gave me an opening I hadn't expected. David, I appreciate your honesty, but if you're not the person in the photos, Who are you really? And where are you really located? His response took 12 minutes, an eternity in our usual rapid-fire messaging. When it came, it was just 3 words. Please help me. Was this the breakthrough we'd been waiting for? Or was this a new manipulation tactic I couldn't afford to fall for again? Agent Park's response to David's "please help me" message was immediate and tactical. Do not respond yet. We need to determine if this is genuine or another manipulation. These operations sometimes stage rescue scenarios to deepen victims' emotional investment. Let me consult with behavioral analysts. I waited in tense silence while experts evaluated David's communication patterns, the timing of his message, his language choices, everything. 2 hours later, Agent Park called. Our assessment is 70% probability. This is genuine distress communication. 30% it's a sophisticated manipulation tactic. Either way, we need to respond carefully. If he's really asking for help, we might be able to turn him into an inside source. If he's manipulating you, we'll expose the tactic. She dictated the response I should send. David, if you need help, I want to help you. But I need to understand what's happening. Where are you really? What's your real name? What kind of help do you need? His reply came 90 minutes later. My name is Chen Wei. I'm from Fujian Province, China. I'm in Cambodia. I was told I'd have legitimate tech job, but it's fraud operation. I'm forced to scam people or they hurt me. I don't want to hurt people, but I have no choice. If I refuse work, they beat me. If I try to escape, they say they'll kill me or sell me to worse place. Please, I don't know what to do. Even through text, the desperation was palpable. Agent Park had me send a series of verification questions designed to test if his story was legitimate. Specific details about the compound, the number of workers, the identities of operators. Chen Wei answered each question with consistent, detailed responses that matched intelligence the FBI had already gathered from other sources. This is real, Agent Park confirmed. Chen Wei is providing accurate information about the compound structure. He's either genuinely reaching out for help, or he's an incredibly sophisticated operator feeding us controlled information. Either way, we can use this contact. Through careful questioning over the next week, Chen Wei revealed the brutal reality of pig butchering compounds. He'd been recruited through a job posting on a Chinese employment website promising $3,000 monthly salary for customer service work in Cambodia. When he arrived in Phnom Penh, his passport was immediately confiscated. He was driven to a compound outside the city, a fortified building surrounded by walls and armed guards. Inside were over 200 Chinese workers in similar situations, all forced to operate romance and investment scams. Each worker had daily quotas, initiate contact with 20 new potential victims, maintain active conversations with at least 5 established marks, extract minimum $5,000 monthly from existing victims. Failure to meet quotas meant physical punishment, reduced food rations, or transfer to punishment rooms, where conditions were reportedly even worse. We work 12 to 16 hours a day, Chen Wei explained through encrypted messages. They give us scripts, photos, fake identities. Some workers get romantic approaches, some get investment mentorship angles, some do customer service for fake trading platforms. It's all connected, same operation, different roles. When you think you're talking to one person, you're actually talking to a team of people all pretending to be same person. That explained the inconsistencies I'd noticed with Marcus, the shifting communication styles, the varying response times, the occasional contradictions in his story. Multiple people had been playing Marcus Chen, coordinating to maintain the illusion of a single individual. Chen Wei also revealed how the fake trading platforms worked. Platforms are complete fake. Numbers you see growing are just numbers in database. No real cryptocurrency trading happening. When you send money, it goes directly to compound operators. They convert to cash immediately through money laundering networks. By time you try to withdraw, money is long gone. Platform can disappear anytime. How much has your compound stolen? I asked. I don't know total, but in my section alone, we target maybe 50 active victims at a time. Each victim typically sends $20,000 to $100,000 before they stop. Some send much more. Do math. Multiply across all workers, All sections. Maybe 50 million, maybe 100 million total. I don't know. The scale was staggering. And this was just one compound. Agent Park had confirmed there were dozens operating across Cambodia, Myanmar, and Laos. I asked Chen Wei why he'd broken protocol to contact me. Because you keep asking for video chat. Most victims stop asking after 2 or 3 excuses. You asked 37 times. That's how many I counted. I realized you were different. Maybe you would listen if I told truth. Maybe you could help me escape this. 37 times. The number I'd been too embarrassed to admit to myself. How many times I'd requested something simple, reasonable, and been denied. Chen Wei had been counting each request, recognizing it as potential signal that I might be someone who'd help, if he revealed the truth. Agent Park used Chen Wei's intelligence to refine the FBI's raid planning. The compound location was confirmed, security measures documented, shift schedules identified. Cambodian police and international rescue organizations were coordinating for operation planned in mid-June. But as the raid date approached, Chen Wei's messages became increasingly frantic. They're moving people. Something happening. Maybe they know about raid? Some workers being transferred to other compounds. I don't know if I'll be moved. If I disappear, please still help others who are trapped. Agent Park's team scrambled to determine if the compound operators had somehow gotten intelligence about the planned raid. We have sources suggesting someone in Cambodian police may have tipped them off, she told me. It's possible they're restructuring operations to minimize losses if raid happens. We need to move faster. The raid was accelerated to May 29th, less than a week away. Chen Wei was terrified. If raid fails, they'll know someone gave intelligence. They'll punish everyone, try to find informant. Please make sure raid succeeds. I don't want to die here. The weight of that responsibility was crushing. An entire rescue operation now partly depended on the intelligence I'd helped gather. If it failed, Chen Wei and potentially dozens of others would face retaliation. I barely slept in the days before the raid. I'd started this journey wanting justice for my $35,000 loss. Now I was entangled in something far larger. International human trafficking, organized crime, life and death stakes for people I'd never met but felt responsible for. On the morning of May 29th, Agent Park called. The raid is happening in 2 hours. Cambodian police, Interpol, and NGO rescue teams are coordinating. I'll update you as soon as I have information. Those 2 hours felt like days. I refreshed news sites constantly, searched social media for any mentions of Cambodia raids, messaged Chen Wei repeatedly with no response. Finally, at 2:47 p.m. Pacific time, Agent Park called. Her voice was shaky in a way I'd never heard before. Diana, the raid happened, but the outcome, it's complicated. You need to prepare yourself for what I'm about to tell you. What had gone wrong? And what would this mean for Chen Wei and the others I'd been trying to help? Agent Park's voice carried a mix of triumph and tragedy. The compound was raided successfully. Cambodian police and international teams entered at dawn. They freed 237 trafficked workers, Chinese, Vietnamese, Malaysian, Thai nationals, all forced into fraud operations. 17 compound operators were arrested, including the man running the entire network, a Chinese national named Wu Jiangguo with connections to triad organizations. And Chen Wei? I asked immediately. He's safe. He was among those rescued. He's currently in protective custody with the International Organization for Migration, receiving medical care and being processed for repatriation to China. He specifically asked that we convey his thanks to you. I started crying. Relief, exhaustion, vindication all at once. What happens to him now? He'll be evaluated for physical and psychological trauma, provided with legal support, and eventually returned to China if he chooses. The workers were all victims of human trafficking, so they won't face criminal charges for the scams they were forced to operate. The compound operators will face multiple charges: human trafficking, forced labor, fraud, money laundering. What about the money? All the victims who lost their savings. Agent Park's tone shifted to the difficult reality. We seized approximately $3.2 million in assets from the compound: cash, cryptocurrency, luxury items. That will go through asset forfeiture proceedings, and eventually some portion will be returned to identified victims. But the vast majority of stolen funds, probably over $80 million across this compound's entire operation, are gone. Laundered through networks we can't penetrate, moved through jurisdictions that won't cooperate with recovery efforts. Most victims will never see their money again. It was the truth I'd already accepted about my own $35,000. Financial recovery was unlikely, but stopping the operation that had victimized hundreds, freeing the people forced to operate it, that was something. Agent Park, what happens now for the victims like me? That's why I'm calling. The FBI is organizing a victim notification and support operation. We've identified over 400 North American victims of this specific compound. Total losses exceed $89 million. We need to contact all of them, explain what happened, connect them with resources. And honestly, Diana, they're more likely to listen to another victim than to a federal agent. Would you be willing to help with outreach? I agreed immediately. Over the next month, I contacted 63 people who'd been scammed by the same compound that had targeted me. The conversations were heartbreaking. Some victims were relieved to understand what had happened. Others were still in denial, insisting their relationships were real despite overwhelming evidence. A few were suicidal, having lost their entire life savings. One man, Robert from Arizona, had lost $340,000. His retirement, his children's inheritance, money he'd borrowed against his house. I'm 68 years old, he told me, crying. I'll never recover financially. I'll work until I die. My kids think I'm senile. My ex-wife uses this as proof I was always a fool. How do I come back from this? I didn't have good answers. I just listened, shared my own story, and connected him with therapists who specialized in fraud victim trauma. Sometimes that was all I could offer. Witness to their pain, validation that they weren't alone. But I also witnessed incredible resilience. A woman named Margaret from Boston had lost $87,000 but channeled her anger into advocacy. She'd created a website documenting pig butchering tactics, launched a podcast interviewing victims and experts, and was working with legislators to introduce stronger regulations on cryptocurrency exchanges. These bastards took my money, Margaret told me. But they don't get to take my voice or my purpose. Every person I educate, every future victim I prevent. That's my revenge. Her approach resonated. I joined her advocacy efforts, sharing my story at community forums, senior centers, financial literacy workshops. I partnered with the AARP to create educational materials about romance and investment scams targeting older adults. The response was overwhelming. After one presentation at a Seattle community center, 3 audience members approached me privately. All 3 were currently engaged in what they now recognized as probable scams. My presentation had given them the language and permission to acknowledge reality. I've been talking to someone for 4 months, one woman confessed. He says he's a cryptocurrency trader in Singapore. I've sent him $28,000 so far. He won't video chat. I keep making excuses for why, but hearing your story, I think I'm being scammed, aren't I? Yes, I said gently. But you haven't sent him everything. Yes, I said gently. But you haven't sent him everything yet. That means you can still protect yourself. Let me help you. I connected her with Agent Park, helped her file reports, and added her to the victim support network. 3 weeks later, she called to thank me. I confronted him, demanded video chat or I'd stop all contact. He disappeared immediately, blocked me on everything. That was all the confirmation I needed. You saved me from losing more. My therapy sessions with Dr. Lisa Chen helped me process the complicated emotions. You're experiencing something called post-traumatic growth, Dr. Chen explained. It's when people who've experienced trauma find meaning and purpose through their suffering. You're not grateful for what happened to you, but you're using it to create positive impact. That's healthy processing. But she also warned me about the trap of defining myself entirely by victimhood. Diana, advocacy work is valuable, but you're more than what happened to you. Don't let this scam become your entire identity. You were a person with interests, relationships, and goals before Marcus Chen. Those parts of you still exist. She was right. I'd become so consumed with victim advocacy that I'd neglected other aspects of my life. My daughters worried about my obsession with the case. My friendships had narrowed to only people connected to scam recovery work. I hadn't pursued any of the retirement dreams I'd had before the scam, so I made intentional choices to reclaim balance. I joined a book club that had nothing to do with fraud or cryptocurrency. I started volunteering at a community garden. I took a pottery class just because it sounded interesting. Small steps toward remembering who I was beyond scam victim-turned-advocate. In August, 6 months after the Cambodian compound raid, I received an unexpected email. The sender was Chen Wei. Dear Diana, IOM helped me return to China safely. I am with my family now in Fujian. I want to say thank you for helping rescue me and many others. I am sorry for the part I played in scam that hurt you. I had no choice, but I still feel guilty. I hope you can forgive me. I am trying to build new life now, maybe go back to school, learn legitimate computer programming. I want to use my skills to help people instead of hurt them. Thank you for seeing me as human even when I was forced to be scammer. Respectfully, Chen Wei. I read the email 3 times, tears streaming down my face. Chen Wei felt guilty for scamming me when he'd been enslaved and forced to do it under threat of violence. The moral complexity was overwhelming. I wrote back, Chen Wei, you have nothing to apologize for. You were a victim before I was. I'm grateful you're safe and with your family. I hope you achieve all your dreams. You deserve a beautiful life. Thank you for trusting me enough to ask for help. You saved yourself and 236 others by reaching out. That's heroism, not something to feel guilty about. His response came a week later. Your words mean everything. In Compound, they told us victims were stupid and deserved to be scammed. They said we shouldn't feel bad because we were taking money from greedy fools. But you showed me victims are real people with real pain. That made me want to resist, even though it was dangerous. Thank you for being real person, not just mark on list. That exchange became a turning point in my recovery. I'd been so focused on my role as victim that I'd lost sight of the broader human story. Chen Wei's suffering, the hundreds of other trafficked workers, the complex web of circumstances that created these criminal operations. The pig butchering industry wasn't just about greedy scammers stealing from gullible victims. It was about economic desperation, human trafficking, organized crime, systemic exploitation at every level. Fighting it required more than just educating potential victims. It required addressing the conditions that made both victimization and forced labor possible. I started working with organizations that fought human trafficking in Southeast Asia. I donated monthly to groups that helped repatriate forced workers and provided them with educational and employment support. I lobbied for stronger regulations on cryptocurrency exchanges that made money laundering more difficult. My $35,000 loss became an investment in a different kind of education, understanding how fraud ecosystems functioned, recognizing my role in the broader system, and working towards solutions that addressed root causes rather than just symptoms. By October, exactly 1 year after I'd first accepted Marcus Chen's Instagram friend request, I'd achieved something unexpected. Peace. Not the peace of getting my money back or seeing perfect justice served, but the peace of knowing I'd transformed pain into purpose, that I'd helped protect others, that I'd contributed to freeing people trapped in horrific circumstances. The scam had taken $35,000 from me, but my response had helped save 237 lives. In the calculus of meaning and impact, maybe that was worth more than any amount of money. In November 2024, Agent Park contacted me with unexpected news. Diana, we've identified a new operation that appears to be run by some of the same people who escaped the Cambodia raid. They're operating from a compound in Myanmar now, targeting victims with an evolved version of the pig butchering playbook. And they're specifically looking for people who've spoken publicly about being scammed. Why would they target survivors? Because survivors often study these scams obsessively, talk to other victims, accumulate knowledge about how the fraud works. The scammers think if they can successfully con someone who's already been scammed and educated about the tactics, it proves their methods are sophisticated enough to overcome awareness. It's ego, essentially. Plus, revenge factor. Some operators want to humiliate survivors who've gone public. Are they targeting me specifically? We don't know yet, but your TED Talk has 400,000 views. Your AARP workshops have been covered in multiple news outlets. You're visible enough to be on their radar. We want to offer you two options. One, we can help you reduce your public profile, implement stronger privacy protections, and make you a harder target. Or two, you can help us run a counter-operation, pretend to be vulnerable to a new scam approach, gather intelligence about this Myanmar operation, and help us coordinate another rescue raid. The request was risky, but I thought about Chen Wei, about the 237 people freed from the Cambodia compound, about whoever was currently trapped in Myanmar forced to scam people under threat of violence. What would the operation involve? Over the next week, Agent Park's team developed the plan. I would create a new persona, Rachel Thompson, a recently divorced tech executive with significant cryptocurrency holdings from her ex-husband's startup exit. The profile would suggest someone with money, technical knowledge, and emotional vulnerability, exactly the combination pig butchering operations targeted. We'll make Rachel visible on specific platforms we know these operations monitor, Agent Park explained. LinkedIn, Instagram, certain cryptocurrency forums. We'll position her as someone who's interested in growing her wealth, but skeptical of traditional investment advisors. She'll be the perfect mark, wealthy, intelligent, and just vulnerable enough. The FBI's technical team created an elaborate digital footprint for Rachel Thompson. Realistic LinkedIn profile with professional connections, Instagram account showing a lifestyle consistent with someone who'd received a significant divorce settlement, posts on cryptocurrency forums demonstrating both knowledge and slight overconfidence. Within 72 hours, Rachel received her first contact, a DM on LinkedIn from Stephen Liu, digital asset strategist. His profile showed a sophisticated investor in his late 30s, photographed at cryptocurrency conferences, blockchain summits, and luxury destinations. His approach was familiar, yet evolved. Rachel, I noticed your posts about digital asset allocation strategies. Your understanding of DeFi protocols is rare among traditional executives. I'd love to discuss how institutional investors are approaching this space. Would you be open to connecting? It was smoother than Marcus Chen's approach had been, more professional, less overtly mentorship-focused. Stephen positioned himself as a peer rather than a teacher, which would appeal to someone with Rachel's supposed background. I played my role, messaging with Stephen about cryptocurrency markets, blockchain technology, regulatory landscapes. He was impressively knowledgeable. Either he'd been genuinely educated about these topics, or he was reading from extremely sophisticated scripts. After 2 weeks of professional discussion, Stephen made his move. Rachel, I've enjoyed our conversations. I don't usually do this, but I'm involved with an exclusive digital asset fund that's accepting new members. It's not publicly advertised, invitation only for accredited investors. Given your background and portfolio size, you'd be eligible. Would you be interested in learning more? Agent Park's analysts immediately identified this as the scam pivot. The exclusive fund will be another fake platform. They've just refined the approach to target wealthier, more sophisticated victims. Stay engaged. Stephen's fund was called Apex Digital Capital. The website was extremely professional. Regulatory disclosures, team biographies, detailed fund performance reports, even supposedly verified audits from a major accounting firm. The FBI's forensic team determined everything was fabricated, but the quality was remarkable. This operation has significantly more resources than the Cambodia compound, Agent Park noted. The investment in fake legitimacy suggests they're targeting higher net worth victims. Single marks who might invest $500,000 or more instead of the $20,000 to $50,000 typical in simpler operations. I followed Stephen's guidance, creating an account on Apex Digital Capital's platform and making a supposed initial investment of $50,000 in marked traceable cryptocurrency. The platform showed impressive returns within days. $50,000 grew to $58,000, then $63,000. Stephen was thrilled. Rachel, your portfolio is performing exceptionally, but I want to be honest with you about something. There's a limited time opportunity for founding members to increase their position before we close enrollment. If you can add another $100,000 before December 1st, you'll lock in preferential fee structures and priority access to our most profitable strategies. The pressure to invest more, the artificial deadline, the promise of exclusive benefits, it was all classic pig butchering escalation. But then Stephen did something that deviated from the expected script. Rachel, I know this is a significant amount. I want you to feel completely comfortable. What if we meet in person? I'll be in Seattle for meetings next week. We could have dinner. I could show you additional fund documentation. You could ask any questions face to face. Would that help? Agent Park's response was immediate alarm. This is unprecedented. Pig butchering operators never agree to in-person meetings. This could be 3 things. 1, he's genuine and we've misidentified the operation. 2, the person showing up won't be Stephen, but someone else with a cover story. 3, this is something more dangerous. Kidnapping, robbery, or worse. We need to prepare for all scenarios. The supposed dinner meeting was scheduled for December 5th at a high-end Seattle restaurant. Agent Park's team spent days preparing. Undercover agents positioned throughout the restaurant, surveillance technology monitoring all entrances, backup teams ready to intervene if the situation turned dangerous. But the morning of December 5th, Stephen sent a message that changed everything. Rachel, I need to be honest with you about something. I'm not who you think I am, and you're not who I think you are. We need to talk, but not at a restaurant with FBI agents watching. Come alone to this address at 8 p.m. If you bring law enforcement, people will die. If you don't come, the Myanmar compound you're trying to locate will move before you can raid it. Your choice. He provided an address in an industrial area south of Seattle. Agent Park's immediate response was definitive. Absolutely not. This is a trap. We're not sending you into an unsecured location. But the message continued. I know you're working with FBI agent Jennifer Park. I know you're trying to locate our compound to raid it like you did in Cambodia. I know your real name is Diana, not Rachel. And I know you'll want to hear what I have to say, because I'm offering you something the FBI can't give you, direct access to the people running this entire operation. Come alone, or this opportunity disappears forever. How did they know everything? Had the operation been compromised from the beginning? And what was waiting for me at that industrial address? Information that could help hundreds of victims, or a trap that would make me the next victim. Agent Park was adamant. Diana, you're not going. This is obviously a setup. They've been playing us the entire time, feeding us information they wanted us to have while gathering intelligence about our operation. Walking into that address would be suicidal. But something in Stephen's message nagged at me. What if he's another Chen Wei? Another forced worker trying to make contact but having to do it in a way his captors won't detect? Then he can contact us through official channels. We have protocols for exactly this situation. Protocols that take time. Time he might not have. And he specifically said the compound will move if we don't act. If that happens, everyone trapped there disappears into another operation, and we lose our chance to help them. Agent Park stared at me for a long moment. You're not law enforcement, Diana. You're a civilian consultant who's already given far more than anyone should expect. I can't authorize you walking into potential danger. Then don't authorize it. I'll go as a private citizen making my own choice. The address Stephen had provided was a warehouse in an industrial park near Boeing Field. Agent Park insisted on a compromise. I'd go, but FBI teams would be staged nearby, though not visibly present. I'd wear a concealed tracking device and a panic button. If I didn't check in within 1 hour, they'd raid the location. At 7:55 p.m. on December 5th, I arrived at the warehouse. The building was dark except for a single light visible through a high window. My hands shook as I approached the entrance. The door was unlocked. Inside was a mostly empty space. Concrete floors, industrial lighting, metal support columns. In the center sat a single folding table with 2 chairs and a laptop computer. Sitting in one chair was a young Asian man, maybe 25 years old, looking exhausted and terrified. Diana? He asked quietly. Are you Stephen? Stephen is one of the identities I use. My real name is Lin Feng. I'm from Sichuan Province, China. I was trafficked to Myanmar 8 months ago. I've been forced to operate romance and investment scams targeting North Americans. His story was nearly identical to Chen Wei's. Recruited with promises of legitimate tech work, passport confiscated upon arrival, forced into a compound with hundreds of other trafficked workers. But there was a crucial difference. I have computer science degree from good university. They put me in management role. I coordinate multiple scam operators, track victim databases, manage the fake trading platforms. I see everything. And I have access they don't know I have. He opened the laptop, showing me databases that made me feel sick. Thousands of victim profiles, detailed psychological assessments, conversation scripts optimized based on A/B testing, financial tracking showing exactly how much had been extracted from each mark. The sophistication was staggering. This Myanmar compound has stolen over $340 million in 18 months, Lin Feng explained. It's not run by Chinese triads like Cambodia was. It's run by Myanmar military officials who profit from allowing operations on their territory. Raiding it will be much harder because local authorities are complicit. Why are you showing me this? Because I'm planning escape and I need help. But more importantly, I'm showing you this so you understand what you're really fighting. The Cambodia raid was a success story that Western media celebrated, but it barely impacted the industry. New compounds opened within weeks. Workers freed from one location were captured and trafficked to another. Your friend Chen Wei was lucky. He got home. Most don't. He scrolled through pages of data showing the ecosystem of pig butchering operations. Dozens of compounds across Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos, the Philippines. Estimated 100,000 plus workers trafficked into fraud operations. Annual revenues exceeding $10 billion globally. Connections to weapons trafficking, drug cartels, political corruption at the highest levels. You think you're fighting romance scams, Lin Feng said. You're actually fighting industrial-scale slavery that happens to use romance scams as one product. It's like trying to stop the ocean by blocking one wave. The hopelessness of his words was devastating. So what can anyone do? Small actions. Help individuals when you can. Chen Wei got free because you helped. I'll get free because you're here tonight. That matters, even if it doesn't solve everything. But you need to stop thinking this is winnable war. It's not. It's management problem, reducing harm, helping victims, creating just enough disruption that operations become more expensive and complicated. That's realistic goal. He handed me a USB drive. This contains everything. Victim databases, operator identities, financial tracking, compound locations. Give it to FBI. They can use it to help specific victims, maybe make some arrests. But understand, this won't end the industry. Tomorrow, new compounds will open. New workers will be trafficked. New victims will lose money. Why are you helping if it's also hopeless? Because hopeless doesn't mean meaningless. I can't stop the ocean, but I can help you save the people drowning near you. That's something. He stood to leave. I grabbed his arm. Come with me. We can protect you, help you get home to China. If I disappear tonight, they'll know I gave you the data. They'll shut down everything, move the compound, hurt the workers before authorities can raid. I need to go back, act normal for a few more days while FBI coordinates operation. Then maybe I escape during raid. Or maybe I don't. But this way, others have chance. Lin Feng, that's incredibly dangerous. You could be killed. He smiled sadly. I've been dead since they took my passport 18 months ago. Now I'm just trying to make my death mean something. Go, Diana. Use the data. Help people. That's all any of us can do. He walked out into the darkness before I could stop him. I stood in the empty warehouse holding a USB drive containing information that would help some victims while revealing how impossible the larger fight really was. Agent Park's team swarmed in minutes later. I handed over the USB drive, explained what Lin Feng had told me. The FBI's analysts spent the next 72 hours verifying the data. Everything checked out. It was genuine intelligence from inside a major pig butchering operation. Diana, this is the most comprehensive data set on these operations we've ever obtained, Agent Park said. We can identify specific victims, warn them before they lose more, potentially recover some funds, coordinate with international partners for targeted raids. This is huge. But it won't stop new operations from starting. Lin Feng said, I know what he said. And he's probably right about the systemic problem. But he's also right that saving individual people matters. We can't fix everything, but we can fix something. That's enough. The Myanmar compound raid happened on December 18th. It was partially successful. 173 workers freed, 12 operators arrested, $4.2 million in assets seized. But the compound's leadership escaped, and intelligence suggested they'd already established new operations in Laos and the Philippines. Lin Feng was among those freed. He was injured during the raid, beaten by guards who'd suspected his betrayal, but alive. The International Organization for Migration provided medical care and repatriation support. He contacted me 3 weeks later. I'm home, safe. Thank you for being willing to meet me that night. You saved 173 lives, including mine. But the victory felt incomplete. Even as we celebrated freeing those specific people, new compounds opened. New victims were targeted daily. The industry adapted, evolved, and continued. What was the true measure of success against an unstoppable system? 6 months after the Myanmar raid, I attended the federal trial of Wu Jiangguo, the operator arrested during the Cambodia compound raid. The prosecution presented overwhelming evidence, testimony from freed workers, financial records showing hundreds of millions in fraud proceeds, communications proving his leadership role in human trafficking and fraud operations. The defense attorney's argument was surprisingly frank. My client is guilty of terrible crimes, but he's a symptom of systemic failures, economic desperation in developing nations, weak international law enforcement cooperation, demand from victims seeking unrealistic investment returns. Punishing one man won't solve the problem. The jury convicted Wu on all counts. He was sentenced to 38 years in federal prison. As they led him from the courtroom, I felt nothing. No vindication, no closure, no sense that justice had been served in any meaningful way. Because the defense attorney was right. Wu was already being replaced by other operators. The compounds continued operating. The victims kept losing money. In the months following the trial, I struggled with what my advocacy work actually accomplished. Yes, I'd helped free specific people. Yes, I'd educated potential victims. Yes, I'd contributed to investigations that resulted in arrests. But the industry was larger after all my efforts than when I'd started. Dr. Chen, my therapist, helped me reframe. Diana, you're judging yourself by whether you've solved an unsolvable problem. That's not the right metric. The right metric is, did you reduce harm? Did you help individuals? Did you make the world slightly better than if you'd done nothing? By that measurement, yes. I'd helped prevent an estimated $4.2 million in losses by warning potential victims. I'd contributed to freeing over 400 trafficked workers. I'd educated thousands of people about pig butchering tactics. Those were real impacts with real human beneficiaries. But it feels like bailing water from a sinking ship, I told her. Maybe, but the people whose lives you saved don't feel that way. To them, you're not bailing water from an abstract ship. You're the reason they're not drowning. That perspective helped. I couldn't measure success by whether romance scams existed. I could only measure it by whether specific people were helped by my specific actions. I continued my advocacy work, but with adjusted expectations. I spoke at community centers, created educational content, consulted with law enforcement on active cases. But I also rebuilt the parts of my life that had nothing to do with scams or advocacy. I reconnected with my daughters, traveled to places I'd always wanted to visit, pursued hobbies that brought joy instead of purpose. I dated occasionally, carefully with healthy skepticism, but without letting past trauma prevent all trust. 1 year after losing my $35,000 to Marcus Chen, I received partial restitution, $8,400 from seized assets recovered during the Cambodia raid. It was a fraction of what I'd lost, but more than I'd expected to ever see. I donated half to organizations fighting human trafficking in Southeast Asia. The other half I invested in a legitimate index fund with a reputable financial advisor I'd thoroughly verified. Small, practical steps toward rebuilding what had been taken. Chen Wei and Lin Feng both successfully repatriated to China. Both pursued education in computer science, specifically cybersecurity, hoping to use their experiences to fight the industry that had exploited them. We maintained occasional contact, not close friendship, but a connection born from shared trauma and mutual assistance. The victim support network I'd joined grew to over 2,000 members across 30 countries. We shared intelligence, supported each other emotionally, and collectively pressured technology platforms and law enforcement to take pig butchering more seriously. We didn't end the scams, but we made them harder to operate, costlier to maintain, and less likely to succeed against educated targets. That incremental progress was worth something. In March 2025, 15 months after my first Instagram message from Marcus Chen, I gave a keynote address at a cybercrime prevention conference. I titled it, Fighting Unstoppable Harm, Why Small Victories Matter in Asymmetric Conflicts. The core message, you can't defeat systemic injustice alone, but you can protect the person next to you. And if everyone protected just one person, the system would collapse from lack of victims. It wasn't a triumphant speech about defeating fraud. It was a realistic speech about persistent resistance despite impossible odds. That's what recovery looked like. Not victory, not closure, not revenge. Just continuing to fight knowing you'd never completely win because the alternative was surrender. And surrender meant more people drowning while I watched from the shore. I couldn't save everyone, but I could save someone. And today, that was enough. 2 years after Marcus Chen first messaged me on Instagram, I received a letter from a woman named Sarah in Toronto. She'd watched my TED Talk, recognized the tactics being used on her, and stopped an investment scam before sending money. You saved my retirement, she wrote. I was literally filling out the wire transfer form when your talk appeared in my recommended videos. Something you said, if they won't video chat, they're not real, made me pause. I demanded a video call. He refused. I walked away with my savings intact. Thank you for being brave enough to share your story. I pinned her letter to my office wall next to messages from 47 other people I'd helped through my advocacy work. Marcus Chen took $35,000 from me, but my response had protected millions of dollars for others. Some losses become investments of a different kind. If you're in an online relationship with someone you've never seen on video chat, especially someone discussing investment opportunities or requesting money, stop right now. Demand a live video call with spontaneous conversation. If they refuse, block them immediately. No legitimate romantic partner or investment advisor will consistently avoid video chatting in 2025. Visit FBI.gov scams to report suspected pig butchering operations. Visit globalantiscam.org for resources to verify online identities and investment platforms. Share this story widely. Romance scams thrive when victims stay silent. Your awareness can save someone's life savings. Comment below. What red flag stood out most to you?